Reports just confirmed that the FIA has summoned an emergency meeting in 72 hours because Mercedes and Red Bull may have broken the 2026 regulations before the season even starts. It is Monday, January 19th, 2026, and the Formula One world is currently staring at what might be the biggest technical scandal since the 2014 hybrid era began. We are exactly 1 day away from Honda officially unveiling their 2026 power unit in Tokyo, and 3 days away from a critical showdown in Paris that could decide the championship before a single car hits the track. For the last 2 years, we have been waiting for this moment. The 2026 regulations were supposed to be the great equalizer. The sport eliminated the complex MGUH system, split the power output 50-50 between the combustion engine and the electric motor, and switched to 100% sustainable fuels. The goal was to bring manufacturers like Audi and Ford into the sport and give Honda a fresh start with Aston Martin. But right now, that fresh start looks like it is hitting a massive wall. Over the weekend, leaks emerged from the paddock suggesting that Mercedes and Red Bull powertrains have found a gray area in the rules regarding the compression ratio of the new engines. While the rulebook states a strict 16-to-1 limit, these two manufacturers have allegedly found a way to bypass it using thermal expansion tricks once the engine is running. This has triggered absolute panic at Honda, Ferrari, and Audi, who played by the spirit of the rules and might now be starting the new era with a major horsepower deficit. This situation goes beyond a technical disagreement. It is about survival. Honda has bet their entire F1 future on this exclusive partnership with Aston Martin. They set up a new base in the UK, they reorganized HRC in Sakura, and they convinced Fernando Alonso to stay. But if their engine is legally slower than the competition because of a loophole they missed, the entire project is in jeopardy. And to make matters worse, HRC President Koji Watanabe just admitted to reporters that their own development has been a mixed bag of success and failure. The core of this crisis comes down to a specific line in the 2026 technical regulations. The FIA mandated a maximum compression ratio to prevent costs from spiraling out of control, believing this would keep performance level across the grid. But engineers at Mercedes and Red Bull, who are now working with Ford, apparently saw something the others missed. Sources say they realized that while the ratio is measured when the engine is cold or in a static state, the metal expands under the extreme heat of a race distance. By designing specific alloys that expand more than usual, they can effectively increase that compression ratio on the track, extracting more power from the combustion engine. Honda and Ferrari engineers are furious because they designed their engines to stay within the limits at all times. If the FIA allows this trick to stand at the meeting on January 22nd, Honda could be entering the season with a permanent disadvantage that no amount of software updates can fix. It is the classic Formula One story of reading what is not written in the rules. But for Honda, it is a looming nightmare. While the loophole drama plays out in Europe, the mood at Honda's headquarters in Sakura is reportedly tense for other reasons. HRC President Koji Watanabe gave a surprisingly honest interview just days ago where he admitted that not everything is going to plan. He told reporters that the development process has been a struggle and that they are facing unexpected hurdles with the new electrical systems. The 2026 cars rely heavily on the MGUK to deliver that 50% electrical power split. If Honda's deployment system isn't consistent, the car will effectively run out of energy halfway through the straights. Watanabe insisted these issues aren't fatal, but hearing the word struggle this close to the deadline is rare for a Japanese manufacturer that usually keeps its cards close to its chest. They are running out of time to finalize the specification before the homologation deadline in February. If they lock in a flawed design now, they are stuck with it for the season. We are tracking the outcome of that January 22 emergency meeting live. So if you want to know which engines get banned or approved, hit subscribe and turn on notifications right now. This situation directly impacts the team at Silverstone. The pressure at Aston Martin's Silverstone factory is immense. Lawrence Stroll has spent hundreds of millions of dollars building what he calls a super team. He hired Adrian Newey, he built the wind tunnel, and he signed the exclusive works deal with Honda. But all of that investment relies on the power unit showing up and performing on day one. Stroll has been publicly calling for patience, telling the media that they need to give Honda time. In Formula One speak, that is often a code red. When a team owner starts managing expectations before the car even launches, it usually means the data they are seeing on the dyno isn't matching the simulations. Aston Martin cannot afford a transition year. They need to be winning races immediately to justify the Newey salary and keep Alonso interested. If the Honda engine is heavy or unreliable, the AMR26 chassis, no matter how good Newey makes it, will be a sitting duck on the straights against the Mercedes and Ferrari-powered cars. There is a bitter irony in this situation involving Red Bull. Red Bull is only building their own engine because Honda originally decided to quit the sport back in 2020. Now they are competitors. But rumors surfaced late last year that Red Bull was nervous about their own Ford project and actually reached out to see if Honda would be a backup plan if things went wrong. Honda's response was a firm no. Koji Watanabe made it clear that there is zero chance of supplying Red Bull again. That bridge is burned. But now it looks like Red Bull might have the last laugh if their compression ratio trick works. They took Honda's intellectual property, learned from it, and likely outsmarted them with this new loophole. It adds a personal layer to this technical battle. Honda wants to prove they can win without Red Bull, and Red Bull wants to prove they don't need Honda anymore. The result is a high-stakes game of chicken being played out in the FIA technical offices. Tomorrow is the day Honda officially shows their hand. The event in Tokyo is scheduled to reveal the actual architecture of the 2026 power unit. Usually, these launches are just marketing exercises where they show a fake plastic engine. But analysts are going to be watching the body language of the executives very closely. We need to see if they address the rumor about the combustion instability. There were reports from Japanese media outlets that the new sustainable fuel mixture was causing knocking at high revs, forcing Honda to run the engine in a lower power mode during long-run tests. If they dodge questions about reliability tomorrow, or if they delay the technical briefing, it will be a major red flag. The car launch for the AMR26 is set for February 9th, leaving a tiny window of just 3 weeks between seeing the engine and seeing the car it belongs in. Any delay tomorrow eats into that precious integration time. Fernando Alonso is another major factor. He signed a contract extension specifically because he believed in the Honda project. He saw what they did with Max Verstappen and wanted that same dominance for his final years in the sport. But Alonso has zero patience for development years. He lived through the nightmare of the McLaren-Honda era a decade ago, where the engine was slow and unreliable. He famously called it a GP2 engine back then. If he gets into the AMR 26 at preseason testing and feels that same lack of power, or if the engine blows up on day one, the relationship could turn toxic instantly. Alonso is banking on this being his shot at a third world title. He knows that with the regulations changing, the grid order will be shuffled. But that shuffle can go both ways. He could find himself in a title contender, or he could find himself fighting for 15th place if Honda has missed the mark on the regulations. The meeting on January 22nd is where the fate of the 2026 season will be decided. The FIA has three options. They can ban the thermal expansion trick entirely, which would force Mercedes and Red Bull to redesign their pistons and combustion chambers. Just weeks before testing, that would be a huge win for Honda. Second, they could allow it, forcing Honda and Ferrari to rush a copycat solution that might not be ready until mid-season. Or third, they could introduce a balance of performance measure to equalize the engines, which nobody in Formula One wants. Honda, Ferrari, and Audi have reportedly formed a temporary alliance to lobby the FIA. They are arguing that the loophole violates the cost cap spirit because developing these special alloys is incredibly expensive. It is rare to see Ferrari and Honda on the same side, but the threat of a Mercedes dominance like we saw in 2014 is enough to unite old enemies. This meeting is more than a discussion. It is a war for the championship. This situation proves that the 2026 regulations are not going to be the smooth transition everyone hoped for. We are seeing a fragmented grid before the season even begins. If Honda is truly behind the curve, it has massive implications for the sport's commercial future in Asia and for the Aston Martin brand. Lawrence Stroll is trying to sell a valuation of his team based on being a championship contender. A failure here devalues the entire franchise. This also highlights the danger of these complex hybrid rules. By trying to make the engines road relevant with 50% electric power, the FIA has created a playground for loopholes that only the manufacturers with the deepest pockets can exploit. If Mercedes and Red Bull have outspent Honda on materials science to find this expansion trick, it undermines the cost cap entirely. We might be heading into a season where the championship is decided by who has the best lawyer in the FIA technical meetings rather than who has the best driver? Fans need to prepare for a chaotic start to the year. Reliability is going to be terrible across the board. We will likely see cars breaking down left and right in the first few races as these new systems are pushed to the limit. And for Honda specifically, the next 72 hours will define their legacy. They came back to F1 to prove they are the best engineers in the world. If they get beaten by a loophole on day one, it will be a humiliation that will be hard to recover from. The outcome of the January 22nd meeting will tell us if we are looking at a competitive season or if the trophy is already being engraved for someone else. The clock is ticking down to the Tokyo reveal tomorrow and the FIA showdown on Thursday. We will know very soon if Honda has a fighting chance or if the panic is real. Thanks for watching this breaking update. If you want to catch the news from the Tokyo launch as soon as it drops, make sure you hit subscribe.